Every Friday morning, there is a moment that slips past most people without them realizing its power. A moment when the sky opens in mercy, when the angels descend closer to the earth, and when the names of certain believers are written with a special honor, not because they are perfect, not because they are angels in human form, but because they recite a chapter that brings light, protection, and clarity from one Friday to the next. This moment changes destinies. It softens hearts. It surrounds the sincere with a glow only Allah sees. And the one who recites this chapter at dawn, their name is lifted higher than they will ever understand in this world. This is not just a recitation. It is a shield, a light, a sign that your heart still wants Allah. And before we continue, I want to ask you, where are you watching this from? And what time is it right now in your city or country? Tell me in the comments. Your answer connects you to this reminder in a beautiful way. The morning Allah chose for your elevation. Friday morning is not like other mornings, and it was never meant to be. It is a moment wrapped in mercy, a time Allah selected to pour guidance into the hearts that are searching for clarity. While the world slowly wakes up, while cities are still quiet and people are rushing toward their routines, something extraordinary is happening in the unseen. The angels begin recording the first actions of every believer, and in that sacred space between dawn and sunrise, the hearts that remember Allah shine more brightly than they do at any other moment of the week. Some people wake up heavy, carrying responsibilities that feel overwhelming. Others wake up with worries they have not spoken to anyone about. Some feel distant from Allah, even though they desire closeness, and some wake up with a quiet ache they cannot name. Yet among all the souls rising from sleep, there are a few, just a few, who begin their Friday by reciting a chapter that fills their life with divine light and invisible protection. These people may not be scholars, they may not have perfect lives, but their hearts choose remembrance before the world pulls them away. And that single choice carries a weight far greater than they realize. Every word they recite in these early hours is witnessed, guarded, and honored. The angels gather around the believer who remembers Allah at dawn because the intention itself is a form of purity. The light of this chapter does not just illuminate the next few minutes. It stretches across the entire week like a guided path, protecting the one who recited it in ways they may never see with their eyes. It is as if Allah Himself whispers to the soul, "Begin with me, and I will take care of everything that comes after." Surah 18 holds this power. This chapter was not revealed randomly, nor was it given without purpose. It carries lessons that protect your mind from confusion, your faith from deception, and your heart from darkness. It strengthens you at a time when the world is filled with noise, doubt, and distraction. When you recite it on Friday morning, you are not just reading words, you are stepping into a divine shield that surrounds your decisions, your relationships, your emotions, and even the paths you cannot yet see. The beauty of this moment is that Allah is not looking for perfection. He is looking for sincerity, for effort, for the quiet whisper of the heart that still chooses Him, despite the struggles, the sins, the worries, and the weight carried throughout the week. And when you recite this chapter in the early hours of Friday, the angels record your name with a level of honor that reflects this sincerity. Your soul becomes part of a group that Allah elevates, not because of status, wealth, or power, but because of remembrance. Every Friday morning is a new chance, a new beginning, a new opening from Allah, and the believer who starts their day with Surah 18 has already won half the battle of the week ahead, for Allah places light in every step that follows. The angels who surround the one who remembers Allah at dawn. There is a reality of the unseen that most people walk past their entire lives without ever understanding. When dawn begins to rise on Friday, the world appears the same on the outside. Roads fill, alarms ring, hearts rush toward duties and responsibilities. But beyond the physical world, within the realm that your eyes cannot perceive, something breathtaking unfolds. The angels begin tracing the earth with a softness that cannot be described, and their presence fills the morning with a tranquility that only sincere hearts can feel. These angels are not wandering without purpose. They are searching. They are moving across cities, villages, deserts, forests, and oceans, looking for one thing: the hearts that begin their Friday with remembrance. They look for the voices that recite words of guidance, for the souls that choose Allah before they choose the world, for the believers who open their morning with Surah 18, allowing its light to settle deep inside their chest. When they find such a person, they do not simply pass by, they surround them. They embrace their space, and they carry their name upward with an honor that cannot be measured by any human standard. Imagine, for a moment, how many souls wake up every Friday burdened by stress, weighed down by confusion, or entangled in the noise of their affairs. Yet the moment someone recites this chapter, the angels gather around them like guardians. They witness every word you read, they listen to every verse you reflect upon, and they stand as silent witnesses to your sincerity. They write your name in registers that are filled with the names of those who are beloved to Allah, not because these people are perfect, but because they turned to Him when the morning first opened. What many believers do not realize is that these moments of remembrance create spiritual layers around the heart. Every verse of Surah 18 becomes a barrier against misguidance, a protection from illusions, a shield against the kind of confusion that destroys faith and clarity. The angels record your name not only because you recited these verses, but because you sought the light that Allah placed inside them. You showed up for your soul at the hour when most people are still half awake, half present, or lost in the demands of the world. And as you recite, something else happens that you may not immediately feel. Your heart becomes aligned with divine protection. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your decisions become easier. Your emotions settle. The noisiness that once filled your mind begins to soften. It is not magic. It is the spiritual consequence of being in the presence of angels who recognize the value of what you are doing even when you do not. The angels do not only surround you during the recitation, they follow the traces of its light for the rest of the day. They carry your name into realms where only sincere deeds are shown. They testify before Allah that this servant stepped into the morning with remembrance. They speak about your sincerity even when no one else sees your effort. Every verse you recited becomes a witness in your favor. Every moment you spent in reflection becomes a seed that blossoms into protection, and every breath you took during that recitation becomes part of a spiritual elevation that carries you from one Friday to the next. This is why your name is written with honor, not because of perfection, not because of grand achievements, but because you performed one act whose value rests in the unseen. You remembered Allah at dawn, and you recited the chapter that shines with divine light. The angels honor what the world overlooks, and Allah rewards what only the heart can understand. The light that walks with you from one Friday to the next. There is a blessing tied to Friday morning that many people underestimate. While most believers know that good deeds are multiplied on this day, very few understand the kind of light that Allah gifts to the one who begins their Friday with Surah 18. This light is not the light seen with the eyes. It is the kind that settles quietly in the heart, strengthens the soul, and guides a person through decisions, difficulties, and moments of confusion. It is a light that follows you not for minutes, not for hours, but for an entire week, linking one Friday to the next like a chain of spiritual protection. When you recite this chapter early in the morning, you are not just reading verses. You are entering into a covenant of guidance. You are stepping into a spiritual commitment that Allah has placed between you and Him. This chapter is filled with stories that hold deep lessons about faith, patience, clarity, humility, and trust, stories that reshape the way your heart interprets the world. Every time you recite it, you unlock another layer of that understanding, another step toward the person Allah wants you to become. Many believers ask themselves why their lives feel heavy, why their hearts feel unsettled, or why certain doors remain closed. What they may not realize is that without spiritual light, the journey becomes harder. Without divine clarity, everything becomes confusing. Without a weekly renewal of the soul, a person begins to feel lost in the noise of the world. But Allah, out of His mercy, placed in this chapter a source of illumination that recenters you every 7 days, aligning your heart with the truth, even when the world tries to pull you off course. This light is not loud or dramatic. It is subtle, gentle, and constant. It shows up in moments when you are unsure which decision to make. It appears when you are about to fall into something harmful. It strengthens you when temptation appears. It calms you when fear begins to rise. It whispers guidance at times when you feel overwhelmed. And it protects you from trials you do not even recognize. This is the light promised to those who recite Surah 18 sincerely every Friday. And because Allah knows how easily humans become distracted, He gifted us this weekly rhythm of renewal. Every recitation becomes a turning point. Every verse becomes a reminder. Every story becomes a mirror that reflects back the state of your soul. Through this chapter, Allah shows you what kind of person you should be, what kind of patience you need, what kind of humility saves you from arrogance, and what kind of faith protects you from deception. The 4 stories within this chapter each hold a spiritual light of their own. The story of the youth teaches you to stand firm in your beliefs even when the world pressures you. The story of the 2 men shows you the danger of becoming attached to wealth without gratitude. The story of Musa and the wise teacher reveals the importance of patience and trusting Allah's wisdom even when you cannot see the bigger picture. And the story of the great ruler teaches you leadership, responsibility, and the strength that comes from justice and humility. These stories are not simply historical events, they are spiritual reflections of your own journey, lessons that prepare you for the trials you face in your personal life. When you begin your Friday by reciting this chapter, you allow these stories to shape your heart, sharpen your insight, and cleanse your thoughts. You anchor yourself to meaning and purpose, and the angels record your name with honor, because you chose to start your week of blessings with guidance instead of distraction. The light that follows you from this recitation does not only change your internal world, it changes the way the world responds to you. People may treat you differently without understanding why. Doors may open for you without effort. Situations that once overwhelmed you may suddenly feel manageable. Opportunities may find you instead of you chasing them. This is the subtle influence of divine light. It reorganizes your reality in ways that only Allah can orchestrate. This is why sincere believers never miss the recitation of Surah 18 on Friday. They understand that one moment of remembrance early in the morning can change the course of their entire week. They understand that Allah does not gift light randomly, He gifts it to those who seek it. And when your soul becomes aligned with that light, the angels write your name with a special distinction because you chose what was eternal over what was temporary. The story that reveals your inner strength and hidden weaknesses. To understand the full spiritual weight of this chapter, you must understand that it is not simply a recitation, it is a mirror Allah placed in front of every believer. Every story inside Surah 18 is a reflection of a trial you are experiencing right now, a test you will experience soon, or a lesson you once walked through without realizing its relevance. The beauty of this chapter is that it does not just speak to the mind, it speaks to the soul, revealing strengths you have forgotten and weaknesses you never knew existed. Every human being goes through moments of confusion, fear, doubt, and emotional heaviness. Some people feel abandoned in these moments, believing that their struggles are signs of weakness or punishment. But Allah, in His endless mercy, placed in this chapter 4 stories that cover every struggle a believer might face. These stories are not there for entertainment. They are there to teach you how to survive spiritually, how to stay firm, and how to walk through trials with wisdom and trust instead of panic and despair. The first story is the story of the young believers who held on to their faith when the entire society around them had turned away from truth. This story is not only about them, it is about you. It is about every moment you felt pressured to compromise, every time you felt alone in your values, every second you felt the world pushing you towards something you knew was wrong. When you recite this chapter, you are not only remembering their courage, you are awakening your own. You begin to see that Allah protects those who stand firm, even if they stand alone, and He opens paths that the world could never block. The second story is the story of the two men, one blessed with abundant wealth, and the other with a heart full of humility. This story exposes the illusions of dunya and reminds you how quickly wealth can deceive a person. It warns you that the moment you begin to rely on your blessings instead of the one who gave them, those blessings become a trap. This story becomes a gentle warning to your heart, reminding you to remain grateful, grounded, and aware that everything you have can disappear the moment it makes you arrogant. When you recite this chapter, Allah softens your heart and protects you from pride that destroys spiritual growth. The third story is the story of Musa and the wise teacher. This is one of the most profound lessons in the entire Quran, a reminder that knowledge is not always visible and wisdom is not always immediately understood. There are events happening in your life right now, delays, losses, rejections, sudden changes that you may think are unfair or harmful. But Allah shows through this story that His plan is always deeper than your understanding. When you recite Surah 18, this story becomes a source of emotional stability. It calms your heart, reminding you that every step Allah has written for you carries meaning, even if you don't yet see it. And then comes the final story, the story of the great ruler who traveled the world with power and justice. This story is a reminder that authority and strength are not gifts to abuse, they are responsibilities. It teaches you that real leadership is built on humility, fairness, and accountability to Allah. Every person, no matter how small their role seems, has a form of leadership in their life over their family, their children, their responsibilities, or even their own emotions. This story awakens a sense of responsibility within you, reminding you that your character defines your destiny more than your circumstances ever could. When you recite this chapter every Friday morning, these stories begin to shape the way you understand your life. You start recognizing lessons in your struggles instead of only seeing the pain. You begin to understand that Allah's tests are not punishments, they are invitations to rise. You realize that the challenges in your path are pushing you toward becoming a more patient, more grateful, more spiritually aware version of yourself. This is why Surah 18 is a weekly mirror, a weekly reminder, a weekly reset for the soul. It exposes illusions you didn't know were affecting you. It highlights strengths you forgot you had. It teaches you how to trust Allah when life becomes confusing. It protects you from future trials you cannot even imagine yet. When you recite it, you are not only reading stories, you are stepping into a deeper understanding of your own spiritual journey. And as these stories settle into your heart, the angels write your name with even greater honor, because you are not just reciting words, you are absorbing lessons, transforming inwardly, and choosing guidance over distraction. Every time you meet this chapter with sincerity, you walk away stronger than you were before, more aware than you were yesterday, and more protected than you may ever fully realize. The protection you don't realize you need until life tests you. There are moments in life when everything feels normal on the surface, yet deep inside, something feels unsettled. You go about your day as usual, you meet people, handle responsibilities, speak, laugh, move, and function like everyone else. But somewhere beneath all of that, there are invisible forces shaping your experiences, forces you may never see with your eyes, but you can feel with your heart. These forces can be confusion, misguidance, envy, pressure, emotional heaviness, sudden fear, temptation, or unexpected darkness that appears without warning. The truth is, many people don't realize how many unseen trials surround them every single day. And it's precisely for this reason that Allah placed in Surah 18 a protection unlike anything else. It is not a protection you consciously feel every minute of the day. It is not a shield you see with your eyes. It is a barrier that serves you behind the scenes, safeguarding your mind, your heart, your choices, and your spiritual clarity. Because sometimes the danger is not outside of you. Sometimes the danger is the moment your heart begins to drift away without you noticing. When you recite this chapter every Friday morning, you are not just gaining light, you are gaining clarity. Clarity from illusions, clarity from emotional fog, clarity from the whispers that lead people into regret, clarity from decisions made in haste, clarity from the subtle traps that pull a believer off the path one small step at a time. The angels record your name with honor, not only because you recited the chapter, but because Allah sees that you are seeking clarity in a world built on confusion. There is a reason this chapter is tied to the greatest trial that will ever walk the earth. Not because the trial is near, and not because believers should panic, but because Allah, in His mercy, prepares the hearts of those who recite this chapter for every trial, big or small, that comes into their lives. The protection found in Surah 18 is multi-layered. It protects your vision from being fooled by appearances. It protects your heart from being seduced by temporary pleasures. It protects your faith from being shaken by things you cannot explain. It protects your certainty in moments when doubt tries to enter. It protects your humility when the ego wants to rise. It protects you from envy, jealousy, and the silent attacks that come from those who cannot see your intentions. Most importantly, it protects your connection to Allah, because losing that connection is the greatest disaster a person can experience. And yet, the heart does not lose its connection. In one day it happens slowly, through small forgetfulness, small distractions, and small compromises that add up until the heart becomes numb. But those who recite Surah 18 are spiritually reminded, refreshed, and grounded every single week. It is as if Allah gives them a spiritual reset button, pulling them back toward Him before their hearts can drift too far away. There are trials coming your way that you don't know about yet, but Allah knows them. There are people who may enter your life whose intentions you cannot read, but Allah sees them. There are decisions you will soon have to make that may determine the direction of your future, but Allah already knows the outcome. This is why the protection of Surah 18 is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It aligns your heart so that when the unseen tests arrive, you react with faith instead of panic, with patience instead of frustration, with clarity instead of confusion. And here is something most believers never realize. Sometimes Allah does not protect you by removing trials from your life. Sometimes Allah protects you by making you spiritually stronger than the trial. Sometimes He gives you clarity that exposes deception before it harms you. Sometimes He gives you wisdom that turns a burden into a blessing. Sometimes He gives you patience that transforms pain into growth. And sometimes He simply gives you a light inside your heart that keeps you close to Him even when everything else around you feels unstable. This chapter is not recited only to remember the stories. It is recited to build your spiritual armor. Every verse strengthens a part of your soul that may one day be tested. Every reflection protects a part of your mind that may one day face confusion. Every lesson saves a part of your heart that may one day be tempted. And every moment you spend with this chapter is a moment in which Allah places inside you a protection you may not fully understand now, but you will deeply appreciate later. The angels write your name with honor because the believer who turns to Allah for protection before the test arrives is a believer whose heart is precious. They write your name because Allah loves when His servant chooses guidance before misguidance arrives, chooses clarity before confusion comes, chooses sincerity before distraction appears. Your recitation is not just heard, it is honored. Your intention is not just seen, it is elevated. And your soul is not just protected, it is prepared for everything that lies ahead. The mercy Allah hides in the early hours of Friday. There is a kind of peace that only appears in the earliest hours of Friday morning. It is not the peace you find during a quiet afternoon, nor the silence you feel late at night. It is a unique stillness that Allah placed specifically in this blessed day, a stillness that softens the heart and prepares the soul for guidance. And within these early hours, the recitation of Surah 18 carries a weight that cannot be compared to any other moment of the week. It is in this sacred window of time that Allah pours mercy upon the believer who begins their day with this chapter. Many people overlook the early hours of Friday. They rush into their routines, they worry about their responsibilities, they think about the world before they think about their soul. But the one who pauses and recites Surah 18 steps into a spiritual atmosphere that few ever taste. The angels descend in these moments not only to record actions, but to distribute mercy to hearts that are open enough to receive it. And the believer who recites this chapter becomes surrounded by that mercy in ways they may not immediately recognize. This mercy appears in subtle forms. It might show up in the ease you feel when handling a problem that normally overwhelms you. It might appear in the patience you gain when facing someone who usually irritates you. It may guide your decisions, protect you from saying words you will regret, or place calmness in your chest during a moment that would normally shake you. These small changes are not coincidences. They are reflections of the mercy tied to Surah 18. And Surah 18 is not simply a chapter filled with stories. It is a chapter filled with reminders that speak directly to your emotional needs. You may be struggling in silence with fear, uncertainty, heartbreak, confusion, or a heavy mind. You may not even know what part of your soul needs healing, but Allah does. And He placed in this chapter verses that touch the exact parts of you that require strength, patience, and clarity. When you recite Surah 18 early on Friday, you are renewing your relationship with guidance. You are reminding your heart that it was created to walk in light, not in confusion. You are anchoring your soul to a chapter that has protected believers for centuries. And in doing so, you step into a mercy that only Allah can place inside the heart, a mercy that transforms the way you feel, the way you think, and the way you respond to the challenges of life. This chapter also carries a special connection to your destiny. Many people walk through life believing that their future is shaped only by their efforts, their plans, their intelligence, or their circumstances. But Surah 18 teaches that destiny is shaped by the heart that remains connected to Allah. It teaches that blessings are not only found in accomplishments, but in sincerity. It teaches that protection is not only in actions, but in remembrance. It teaches that clarity is not only in knowledge, but in trusting the wisdom of Allah, even when you cannot see the full picture. And Allah, in His mercy, chose Friday as the day when these lessons can enter the heart more deeply. When you recite Surah 18 inches the early hours, you are allowing these truths to sink into your soul before the world distracts you. You are beginning your day with the meanings that matter most. You are preparing your heart long before the challenges of the day arrive. And because of this, the angels write your name with a distinction that reflects your sincerity. The mercy tied to this chapter is also a mercy of protection. Many trials come into a person's life suddenly. A misunderstanding, a wrong decision, a bad influence, an emotional shift, a small mistake that grows into a larger problem. These are things that can derail a person spiritually or emotionally. But the recitation of Surah 18 acts as a barrier. It shields your heart before the trial reaches you. It strengthens your mind before confusion touches you. It prepares your soul before hardship tests you. And because you chose to begin your Friday with remembrance, Allah grants you stability in places where others feel shaken. This is why so many scholars advised believers to recite Surah 18 early on Friday. They understood that the heart is more receptive in the morning, that the angels are more active in recording the first deeds of the day, and that the soul is more capable of absorbing guidance before the distractions of dunya take over. They knew that starting your Friday with Surah 18 is not only an act of worship, it is an act of self-protection, self-renewal, and spiritual intelligence. The believer who recites Surah 18 early on Friday becomes someone whose heart is recognized in the heavens. The angels know their voice, they know their sincerity, they know their effort, and they honor it. They record it. They carry it upward with a respect that only Allah can give to a servant who chooses Him before anything else. And this is why your name is lifted with honor. Because you did not wait for problems to remind you of Allah, you remembered Him before the problems came. You did not wait for hardship to push you toward guidance. You chose guidance before hardship arrived. You recited Surah 18 not out of fear, but out of love. And Allah always honors love. The honor given to the heart that begins its Friday with Surah 18. There is a moment at the end of your recitation that may seem ordinary to you, yet in the unseen world it is anything but ordinary. When you finish reading Surah 18 on a Friday morning, something subtle but incredibly powerful takes place. Your soul is surrounded by a tranquility that cannot be explained by words alone. Your heart begins to breathe differently, your chest feels lighter, your thoughts begin to settle. And this is not accidental. This is the divine effect of remembrance. Most people finish their recitation and immediately rush back into their day, unaware of what has just happened beyond the veil of the physical world. They do not see the angels recording their deed. They do not hear the angels speaking their name with honor. They do not witness the light that begins to spread from their heart into every corner of their life. But just because you do not see it does not mean it is not happening. Allah has hidden these realities out of mercy, not secrecy, because the unseen is only for those whose hearts believe in His promise. The honor of having your name written by angels is not a small blessing. It is a spiritual recognition that your heart chose remembrance when it could have chosen distraction. It is a sign that Allah has accepted something from you, even if you feel unworthy. It is proof that your small effort is seen by the Lord, who knows every heartbeat, every intention, and every private moment you experience. When the angels write your name after reciting Surah 18, they are not only documenting a recitation, they are documenting sincerity. They are documenting commitment. They are documenting the love your heart has for Allah. Because to sit down in the early hours of Friday, to turn away from the noise of the world, to open Surah 18 and read its verses with presence and humility, this is a sign of a heart that desires guidance more than anything else. And such a heart is precious in the sight of Allah. This honor also transforms your entire week. You may not feel it immediately, but the effects begin to unfold in the smallest details of your life. You may find that your prayers feel softer, that your actions feel more purposeful, that your patience grows stronger, or that your anger becomes easier to control. You may notice blessings coming to you unexpectedly, or difficulties becoming easier to endure. You may feel a sense of direction at moments when you would normally feel lost. These are not coincidences. They are the ripple effects of the light Allah places in the life of the believer who starts their Friday with Surah 18. Another form of honor appears in the way Allah protects you from mistakes you might have fallen into. Sometimes a thought enters your mind and you reject it without knowing why. Sometimes you turn away from something harmful without fully understanding what could have happened. Sometimes you step into a situation that seems simple but ends up saving you from something far more dangerous. This is the protection tied to your recitation. It is Allah preventing harm before you even recognize what that harm could have been. And perhaps the most beautiful honor of all is the inner stability you gain from this weekly rhythm of remembrance. Life is unpredictable. Hearts shift, emotions change, circumstances rise and fall. But Surah 18 gives you an anchor, a spiritual grounding that keeps you steady no matter what comes your way. Every week you remind your heart of the truth. Every week you strengthen your clarity. Every week you renew your trust in Allah. And the angels record every one of these efforts. There is also the honor that appears at the time of difficulty. When life tests you, your heart will respond differently because it has been conditioned with light. You will feel the strength Allah has placed inside you through this weekly recitation. You will not be shaken the way others are shaken. You will not lose yourself in fear the way others do. You will not become trapped in confusion the way others become trapped. Because inside you, there will be a calmness that comes from remembering Allah when life was not testing you. And that calmness is a gift that many people live their entire lives without ever experiencing. Surah 18 prepares your heart for the moments when you will need Allah the most. It gives you a kind of inner strength that does not collapse under pressure. It gives you a sense of purpose that remains even when everything around you changes. It gives you a connection to Allah that becomes your anchor, your refuge, your shield, and your hope. And the angels, they witness all of it. They record all of it. They honor all of it. Your name enters a register of believers who remembered Allah at the most blessed time of the week. A group whose hearts move toward light even when darkness tries to approach them. A group whose souls choose guidance even when the world calls them away. A group whose sincerity is seen by the heavens even when people on earth never notice their quiet acts of devotion. This is the honor tied to Surah 18. This is the elevation given to the believer who begins their Friday with remembrance. This is the unseen reward that Allah stores for hearts that remain sincere even when life becomes difficult. And this is why your name is written with a distinction that you may not fully understand yet, but one day you will. My beloved brothers and sisters, as this reminder comes to an end, I want you to pause for a moment and reflect on something deeply. Every single Friday, Allah opens a door for you, a door that many people walk past their entire lives without ever noticing. It is a door of light, of protection, of clarity, and of spiritual elevation. And the key to this door is something so simple that it almost feels too easy. Remembering Allah in the early hours and reciting Surah 18 with sincerity, even if your voice trembles, even if your heart is tired, even if your mind is overwhelmed. You do not recite this chapter because you are perfect. You recite it because you want to be guided. You recite it because you need strength. You recite it because you are trying to remain connected to Allah in a world that constantly tries to pull you away. Every verse you read is seen. Every intention you make is honored. Every breath you take while reading it becomes a witness for you on a day when every soul will search for its deeds. And the angels, they do not forget your effort. They record your name with a grace that human beings cannot comprehend. They carry your sincerity upward to a realm where light is stored, where guidance is given, where mercy is distributed, and where your weekly recitation becomes a cause for blessings you have not even received yet. If there is one thing I want you to carry into the rest of your week, it is this: you are never unseen by Allah. Not your struggles, not your tears, not your attempts to improve, not your quiet moments of remembrance, and certainly not the recitation you offer on Friday morning when the world is still waking up, but your heart is already seeking its Creator. So as you close this video, I want you to make a gentle promise to yourself. A promise that you will try, no matter how busy, no matter how tired, no matter how overwhelmed, to greet every Friday morning with Surah 18. Let it be your weekly renewal, your spiritual reset, your light between one week and the next, your shield from the trials that walk unseen. and your connection to the angels who write your name with honor. May Allah fill your heart with peace, strengthen your steps with guidance, and surround your home with the light that comes from remembering Him. May He make your Fridays a source of healing. May He make your recitation a source of protection. And may He make your name among those that the angels speak with honor today, tomorrow, and on the day when every soul stands before Him. Until the next reminder, stay close to Allah, stay close to light, and stay close to the sincerity that makes your heart beloved in the unseen world.